My brother once said, "Let's remove the useless people in the family, and you'll be the first." My parents laughed along with him. Then my father added, "The only useful thing you do is bring money home." I took a breath and replied calmly, "Fine, then you should start packing, because this house belongs to me." My name is Ethan Walker. I'm 31 years old, and for years I've pushed myself to the limit. I work about 60 hours a week as a construction project manager and earn roughly $8,500 each month. 3 years ago, I bought the house I had always wanted. It had 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a swimming pool, and a backyard that looked like it came straight out of a magazine. Every part of it came from hard work, long nights, and the little energy I had left after work. Then one afternoon, my parents showed up at my door. My father, Rick, who was 58, said he had retired early due to health problems. My mother, Linda, repeated the same explanation. My younger brother, Brandon, had never managed to stay at a job for more than 6 months. "The rent went up again," my dad said, looking tired. "We can't afford it anymore. You've got a big house all to yourself. Maybe we could stay here for a while, just until we figure something out." I should have refused, but they were family, so I said, "6 months, that's all." They agreed immediately. 2 weeks later, I came home and saw them relaxing beside the pool with drinks in their hands, while the kitchen looked completely chaotic. The bills quickly increased. Electricity went from $180 to $420. Water jumped from $90 to $210. Groceries rose from $400 to $1,100 a month. When I asked if they could help with expenses, my father answered instantly, "We don't have any extra money." Brandon was still unemployed. When I asked if he had looked for work, he barely lifted his eyes from his video game. Soon the comments began. "Ethan works all the time," my mom would say. "He doesn't know how to enjoy life. We do." 6 months passed and quietly turned into a year. Eventually, I asked, "So when are you planning to move out?" My dad replied, "Why would we? We're comfortable here. We're family, Ethan. You shouldn't be counting days." I felt stuck, guilty for wanting my own space, and angry that I felt like a stranger inside my own house. Then the breaking point came. After a brutal 80-hour work week, I came home late one night. I walked into my bedroom and stopped immediately. All my furniture was gone. In its place were my parents' belongings. Their bed, dresser, and pictures filled the room. My clothes had been shoved into boxes and placed in the guest room. I went downstairs shaking. "What did you do?" I asked. My dad looked completely calm. "We decided we should use the master bedroom," he said. "It's bigger. There are 2 of us. It makes more sense." My mother added, "Don't be childish, Ethan. It's only a room." But it wasn't just a room. It was my room in my own house. I didn't argue. I went upstairs, locked the guest room door, opened my laptop, and checked my savings account. Balance, $47,850. That money was supposed to be for an investment property. Then I refreshed the page. $23. I refreshed again. Same amount. My chest tightened. I checked the transaction history. 3 days earlier, there had been a transfer of $35,530 to an account I didn't recognize. I went downstairs, my heart racing. "Who accessed my savings account?" I demanded. My dad didn't even look away from the television. "Brandon needed startup capital for his business," he said casually. "It's a family loan." "I didn't approve that," I replied sharply. "You're always so selfish with money," my mother said. "You make good money. You'll learn it again." "It took me 3 years to save that," I said. "Brandon will pay you back once his business succeeds," my dad replied. "What business?" I asked my brother. "An electronics store," he muttered. "With who?" "A friend. You don't know him." "You don't even have a business plan," I said. "I don't know you explanations," he replied. "Dad already approved the loan." "That wasn't a loan," I said through clenched teeth. "It was theft." My dad stood up. "Watch your tone. We're family. What belongs to you belongs to us." "No," I said quietly. "What's mine is mine. I earned it." My mother interrupted. "We gave you a roof when you needed one." "I gave you a roof. This house is under my name." "Technical details," my dad said dismissively. "You're thinking like a lawyer. We're talking about family." I went upstairs and called the bank. "Sir," the representative said, "the transfer was approved using your password and security code. I didn't authorize anything. Does anyone else have access to your information?" I immediately thought about my laptop. I always left it in the living room, and my passwords were saved in the browser. "I need to report fraud," I said. "To proceed with that," she explained, "you'll need a police report. If the person responsible lives with you, the situation can become complicated." "Can the money be recovered?" "It's possible," she said, "but you'll need legal assistance." I ended the call and searched for property lawyers in Dallas, Texas. I called the first office with strong reviews. "Law Office of Daniel Whitaker," a calm voice answered. "I need an urgent consultation. My family is living in my house without paying rent, and they've taken my savings. Can you come tomorrow at 9 in the morning? I'll be there." That night, I didn't sleep. I printed bank statements, gathered documents, and organized evidence. By the time I was finished, being the patient son. When I sat across from Daniel Whitaker, he reviewed the documents and said, "You have a solid case. The house is legally yours. They don't pay rent, and there's no lease. That gives us grounds for eviction." "And the money?" I asked. "That's more complex, but possible," he replied. "If we prove unauthorized access, we can request a freeze and possibly recover the funds." "How long will it take?" "Eviction could take 30 days if they cooperate, 60 if they resist. Recovering the money may take 3 to 6 months. I want to start immediately. He'll need a $1,000 retainer." I wrote the check right there. By the time the meeting ended, I felt something I hadn't experienced in a long time: control. But I had no idea how much worse things were about to become. Leaving the lawyer's office, I felt lighter than I had in months. For the first time since my parents moved in, I wasn't overwhelmed. I had a plan and someone who understood how to handle the situation. I drove straight to work. As soon as I arrived, my boss, Mark Evans, called me into his office. "Ethan," he said, "I received a strange call last night. A man claiming to be your brother said you were mentally unstable and having serious family issues. He suggested we should monitor you closely." I froze. "Did he give his name?" "No," he replied, "but he had your last name." I gave a short, bitter laugh. That was Brandon. My family has been living in my house for free, and now that I've hired a lawyer to remove them, they're trying to sabotage me. Mark leaned back in his chair. "Do you need time off?" "No," I said. "If I stop working, I'll lose my focus. But if he calls again, please treat it as harassment." "You have my support," Mark said firmly. "Don't let this break you." That night, while I was reviewing blueprints in my office, I received a text from an unknown number. "We know you hired a lawyer. Big mistake. You'll regret betraying your family." I took a screenshot and sent it to Daniel. His reply came almost immediately. "Save every message. They will help us in court." The next day, a court messenger arrived at my house with the official eviction notice. I left work early so I could be there when it was delivered. I parked in my own driveway and rang the doorbell. My mother opened the door. "Why are you ringing the bell? It's your house." "Exactly. That's why I'm here with this gentleman." The messenger handed her the envelope. Across the top were the words, "Notice to vacate." They had 30 days to leave the property. She took a small sip of wine while watching me carefully. "Is this serious, or are you just trying to escape your family?" she asked. "Both," I admitted, "but mostly the first reason." She gave a faint smile. "I'll think about it." 3 days later, she sent a message. "Got a job offer in Austin, senior auditor. I start in 2 months. It's not because of you, it's just a good opportunity, but it helps that you will already be there." I replied with a heart emoji. She answered immediately. "No cheesy emojis, we're professionals." I laughed out loud in my office. A week before my move, my mom appeared at my house. She rang the doorbell. I had already changed all the locks. When I opened the door, I asked, "How did you even find me?" "Your uncle," she said. "Please, just 5 minutes." I stepped aside and let her enter. She looked tired, her hair messy, holding her purse tightly like protection. "Brandon is sick," she said. "What kind of sick?" "We don't know yet. He needs medical tests. They cost $8,000. "I have that money," I replied. Her eyes brightened. "You'll lend it to us?" No, I'm using it to furnish my new apartment in Austin. Austin? She asked. I was promoted. I'm moving next week. Her face went pale. You can't just leave. We're your family. We already had this conversation. Please, Ethan, your brother might be seriously ill. Then he can use the $17,000 he stole from me. He doesn't have it anymore. Then he can get a job like I did. She looked at me, tears forming. I don't recognize you anymore. Good, I replied. I grew up. I'm done being your ATM. This time when she started crying, it wasn't manipulative. It was quiet and genuine. Do you hate us that much? She asked. I don't hate you. I just don't need you. But we need you. You should have considered that before you used me. What if Brandon dies? She whispered. He won't. He's fine. You just want more money. How can you be so cold? You taught me. She left without another word. I locked the door and leaned against it, exhausted. There was no guilt or sadness, only fatigue. My phone buzzed. It was Isabelle. You okay? She asked. My mom came by. She wanted money for Brandon's medical tests. Did you give her anything? No. Good. I'm not going to tell you to be compassionate. I'm going to tell you to protect your peace. Everything else is just noise. I love you, I said. She stayed silent for a few seconds. You don't have to say it back, I added. I just needed to say it. We ended the call, but she stayed connected for a few seconds longer before finally hanging up. For the first time that day, I smiled. Moving day arrived quickly. I hired professional movers and packed only the essentials, furniture, clothes, and important documents. Everything else I sold or donated. At dawn, the moving truck left the driveway. 2 hours later, I followed. I didn't inform my family that I was leaving. No goodbye, no message. Halfway to Austin, I stopped at a scenic overlook. I took out my phone and blocked every contact. Mom, Dad, Brandon, Uncle Mike. Then I put the phone away, took a deep breath, and continued driving. 5 hours later, I arrived at my new apartment in West Austin. 2 bedrooms, a balcony, and a view of the city. The movers were already unloading. 2 hours later, Isabelle arrived carrying tacos and iced tea. Welcome to your new life, she said. Thanks for coming. Where else would I be? We sat on the floor and ate. Did you tell your parents you moved? No. Do you feel bad about that? Not at all. Good. Later that night, after unpacking a few essentials, she stood by the door preparing to leave. She kissed me quickly. Just so you know, me too. Me too what? I asked. What she said on the phone. Before I could reply, she smiled and closed the door. I stood there for a moment, smiling to myself. That night, I slept on a mattress on the floor. No sheets, no pillows. Still, it was the best sleep I had experienced in years. For the first time, everything around me belonged to me, my choices, my peace, and my future. No toxic family, no guilt, no manipulation. Just quiet. And it felt incredible. 6 months after moving to Austin, life finally felt stable again. Work, gym, dinner, sleep, repeat. No late-night arguments or family drama. Then, one Saturday morning, the past appeared at my door. I looked through the peephole and my stomach dropped. Uncle Mike. He must have contacted my office and found my address. I opened the door halfway with the chain still locked. How did you find me? I told your company it was a family emergency. There's no emergency and there's no family. Ethan, please, let me come in for a minute. I hesitated, then removed the chain. Isabelle, who had been in the kitchen making breakfast, looked out. Who is it? It's my uncle. He nodded. I'll stay, if that's okay. Yeah, stay. Mike stepped inside and looked uncomfortable when he noticed her. I'm Isabelle, she said politely, Ethan's girlfriend. He shook her hand and turned back to me. Your parents are still staying with me. It's been 3 months. I can't keep doing this. That's not my problem, I replied. Brandon's been sick. he continued quietly. Hepatitis C. He needed treatment. I lent them $15,000 for it. I blinked. 15,000? My stolen money could have paid that. I know, but it's gone. He spent it years ago. Then he can repay you. He can barely afford food, Mike replied. Your parents aren't working full time. I can't keep covering their expenses. You need to help. No, I said calmly. I don't understand. They created this situation, not me. Isabelle spoke for the first time. Did you ever tell them what they did was wrong? She asked. Mike looked confused. What do you mean? When they stole Ethan's savings and lived in his house without paying rent, did you ever tell them it was wrong? I didn't know the full story, he muttered. But you know it now, and you're still asking him to fix their problems. That's the issue. Mike stared silently. She's right, I said. You want him to rescue people who never accepted responsibility. Your mom is in therapy, he said quietly. She's taking medication for depression. You don't feel anything about that? I feel like she should have gone to therapy years ago before raising two sons who thought guilt was currency. Mike's expression hardened. You're cruel. No, I replied. I'm finally honest. He stood up. They'll end up homeless. There are shelters and support programs. He looked at me as if he didn't know me anymore. Can you really sleep at night knowing that? Better than I ever slept living with them. He left without another word. Isabelle walked over and hugged me. You okay? Yeah, actually, yes. That afternoon, my phone rang from an unknown Dallas number. I almost ignored it, but answered. This is Ethan Walker. Mr. Walker, this is Officer Ramirez with the Dallas Police Department. Your brother Brandon Walker has been detained. My stomach dropped. For what? For attempted burglary. He was caught breaking into a house. The homeowners pressed charges. Why are you calling me? You're listed as his emergency contact. Remove me from that list. He's asking if you can post bail. It's about $2,800. I'm not paying it. Are you sure? Otherwise, he'll stay in county jail until the hearing. He can stay there. He stole from me too. The officer paused. Understood. We'll contact his parents. Good luck with that. I hung up. When I stepped onto the balcony, Isabelle was drinking coffee. Who was that? Brandon is in jail. He tried to rob a house. She raised an eyebrow. You're going to bail him out? No. Do you feel bad? I probably should, but I don't. Then you're healing, she said quietly. That night, I couldn't sleep, not from guilt, but anger. Brandon had been given every chance, parents who protected him, and a brother who helped him repeatedly. Still, he chose to steal again. The next morning, I went for a run. When I returned, Isabelle was making coffee. Your mom called, she said. She found the apartment landline somehow. What did she say? That Brandon is in jail and you're the only one who can help. If you don't pay bail, he'll get a criminal record. And what did you tell her? That you'd think about it. I laughed. You're evil. I'm practical. Monday morning, my boss called me into his office. Ethan, he said, excellent work on the Skyline Towers project. The client loved it. They just awarded us 3 more contracts worth $30 million. I was stunned. Congratulations, he continued. You'll lead the team, 5 engineers under you. We're also increasing your salary by $1,500 a month. When does it start? Today. I left his office feeling incredible. I called Isabelle immediately. Guess what? Another raise. How much? $1,500 more each month? She whistled. You're doing great. Dinner's on me tonight. Deal. That evening, we went to a restaurant called Alcove, one of the best places in Austin. Halfway through dinner, Isabelle said, 3 months ago, you were living in a hotel, fighting your family and completely exhausted. And now look at you. Yeah, I said. Turns out life improves when you stop carrying dead weight. She nodded. Exactly.
Saturday at noon, I chose the restaurant myself. If she starts using guilt again, I'm done, I told Uncle Mike earlier. Fair, he said. She'll agree. Saturday arrived. I selected a quiet cafe in a busy shopping district, open, public, and not the kind of place where anyone could create a scene. Mom arrived exactly on time, with Uncle Mike beside her. She looked smaller than I remembered, thinner, with gray streaks in her hair and no makeup. "Ethan," she said softly. "Mom." We sat across from each other. Isabelle sat beside me, and Mike sat beside her. For a moment, no one spoke. Finally, Mom said, "Thank you for coming." "You have 30 minutes," I replied evenly. She nodded. "I wanted to say I'm sorry." "For what, exactly?" "For everything. For living in your house, for letting your father take control, for not stopping Brandon, for making you feel like you weren't enough." The words sounded correct, but the tone felt rehearsed. "Did your therapist tell you to say that?" I asked. "She helped me understand what I did wrong," Mom replied quietly, "but the words are mine." "What about Dad?" "He's trying too. He didn't come because he knew you didn't want to see him." "I don't," I said. "I'm not asking for forgiveness, just a chance to do better. Maybe one phone call each month. No money, no guilt, no pressure, just updates." Isabelle spoke gently. "And if Ethan says no?" Mom turned toward her. "Then I'll respect that." "Really?" I asked. "You won't send Mike again or appear at my office?" "No. If you say no, then it's no." I studied her face. For once, she seemed sincere. "And Brandon?" I asked. "He's still in prison," she said, her voice trembling. 5-year sentence. He doesn't want visitors." "Probably for the best." We ate mostly in silence. The food was good, but none of us focused on it. Before leaving, Mom quietly asked Isabelle, "Is he happy?" Isabelle smiled. "Very. We support each other." Mom nodded, her eyes slightly wet. "That's all I ever wanted." When we stood up to leave, she asked, "Can I hug you?" I shook my head. "Not yet." She nodded calmly. "I understand." She left with Mike without saying anything more. On the drive home, Isabelle asked, "How do you feel?" "I'm not sure yet." "That's okay," she said. "You don't have to decide tonight." That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to Isabelle's slow breathing beside me. For the first time, I realized something important. I wasn't angry anymore, neither at them nor at myself. Maybe forgiveness wasn't a single moment. Maybe it was a slow process, a quiet release, one breath at a time. A year after that lunch, my life looked completely different. I had been promoted again, director of regional operations, earning about $13,000 a month. 10 engineers reported directly to me. Isabelle and I bought a condo in Westlake, just outside Austin. 2 bedrooms, a glass balcony, and sunlight filling the rooms every morning. We built a routine. Breakfast together, gym 3 times a week, dinner at home unless one of us worked late, weekends exploring hill country or listening to live music downtown. And once each month, I called my mom. The calls were short, 15 minutes at most. She talked about her job at a small cafe. I shared simple updates about work. We never discussed the past. Dad never came on the phone, and I never asked about him. The arrangement worked, distant but peaceful. Then, one Thursday, Mom called outside our normal schedule. "Hey," I said, "is everything okay?" Her voice was shaky. "Your dad had a heart attack." The words stopped me. "Is he alive?" "Yes, but doctors say he needs bypass surgery. It costs around $14,000. He doesn't have insurance." "What about a public hospital?" "There's a 6-month waiting list. He can't wait that long." "Ethan, we need help." I leaned back and stared at the ceiling. "Why are you calling me?" "Because we don't have enough money. We've already raised half through loans and family members. We're still short."
So you're asking me for money? Please, it's life or death. Mom, everyone dies eventually. That doesn't make it my responsibility. She went silent before starting to cry. After everything we've been through, I thought you'd change. I ended the call. Isabelle was preparing dinner when I walked into the kitchen. Your mom? She asked. Dad had a heart attack, needs surgery. She set the knife down. Are you going to help? No. Are you sure? Completely. She looked me carefully. Ethan, I understand why you're angry, but this situation is different. Is it? This isn't a scam. It's his life. There are other options, loans, payment plans. They just want the easiest solution again. And if they can't raise the money, they'll figure something out. They always do. She didn't argue further, but I could see uncertainty in her expression. That night, I barely slept, not from guilt, but from exhaustion. I was tired of being tested, tired of proving I was over them. The next day, Uncle Mike called. Ethan, listen, your dad isn't doing well. The surgery needs to happen this week. I already told Mom no. He'll die if it doesn't. That isn't my responsibility, Mike. You're crossing the line between boundaries and cruelty. No, I'm protecting my peace. They've already sold their car and took loans. Everyone helped, even neighbors. They're still short about 70,000 pesos, roughly $1,400. I paused. Wait, they raised the rest? Yes, the whole family contributed. I said nothing. For once, they're actually trying. They're not asking for charity, just the last piece. After hanging up, I sat quietly for a long time. Then I called my lawyer, Daniel. I need to send someone money, I said, but I want it structured as a legal loan contract. How much? $1,500, 2-year term, 10% interest. If they miss a payment, I can claim assets. Daniel laughed lightly. Still cautious. Just make it airtight. 2 hours later, the contract was ready. I emailed it to Mike. Your dad must sign it. No signature, no money. 30 minutes later, Mike called again. He refuses, says he won't owe you anything. Then there's no deal. Ethan, this isn't business. It is now. 4 hours later, Mom called. He signed it. Mike has the papers. Please send the money tonight. I wired the funds. Remember, this doesn't change anything between us. It's a loan, not a reconciliation. I understand, she said softly. Thank you. The surgery succeeded. 3 days later, Mom sent a photo. Dad in a hospital bed, weak but smiling. He's going to be okay. I didn't reply. A month later, the first payment arrived. $65, exactly on time. Then another payment, and another. On the third payment, Mom added an extra $10 for interest. Every month, they paid without fail. For the first time, they were keeping their word. 9 months later, Isabelle and I got engaged. It was a simple dinner at home. No large gestures, no extended family, just quiet happiness. Are you going to tell them? Isabelle eventually asked. I'm not sure. Are you inviting them? Definitely not. Then wait, she said. You'll know when the time feels right. A month later, Mom's payment arrived with a handwritten note. Your dad says thank you for the loan. He knows he didn't deserve your help, but he's proud of the man you became, not because of him, but in spite of him. I read the note 5 times. I didn't reply, but I kept it. When Isabelle read it, she smiled gently. What will you do now? I'll keep living, I said. That's all I ever wanted. That night, I thought about everything. The house, the stolen money, the anger, the years spent trying to earn love that was never real. For the first time, I didn't feel bitterness, just peace. Not forgiveness, not reconciliation, simply peace. And that was enough. 2 years after moving to Austin, Isabelle and I got married. It was a simple ceremony with 30 guests in the garden of a boutique hotel outside the city. White lights hung between oak trees, a local band played acoustic music. Everyone ate well and left smiling. No drama, no tension, exactly